why that person isn't considered to oversee some of these departments, has worked with Public Works, has worked with Transfer Station until it's split. I don't think that person was considered, and I'm wondering why not with seniority.
That would be a personnel question that I couldn't answer.
Who can?
We really couldn't discuss that in public because again, it's a personnel issue that you're asking about, not a budget issue. This is a budget hearing.
Okay. Then as far as the mowing, I know that we hire someone outside of Public Works to do the work around the town office. That is he's not a member of the town, right? Or he's hired by the town as an outside contractor.
Yes, we have an outside contractor that does some of the work for us.
Right.
Outside contractor.
Is that outside contractor now working on some figures to take over other mowing in the town?
I asked for a proposal. I have not received it yet. But
Okay.
I asked for one, and it will be forthcoming before the budget process closes.
How can
It's not
you,
meaning that that person is going to be taking over those. We are looking at a comparison to see if we can save money. I'm not convinced we can, but I haven't seen the numbers yet, so.
why would you ask he's not employed, he's employed by the town. Why would you ask a contractor that we hire to do that proposal for you without putting it out to other contractors who might do similar work, when in fact there could be a great conflict of interest with a person related by marriage who works at the town office? That seems like you're opening it up for.
I am just looking at comparison numbers. I have not put an RFP out for services. I'm just looking for what it would cost an individual to do the same thing that we're doing. And believe me, Faye, I feel that when it comes down to looking at the numbers, if they're lower, I'll be very surprised. I don't believe that they can do it for less money than we can. But again, I've been asked by the council and different people to consider that. I'm looking at that, and that has not been completed.
Well, I think you've answered me. I don't know if it was satisfactorily, but thank you.
Thank you, Faye.
Hi, I'm David Judd from town of Lisbon. Okay, how much do you pay that contractor to take care of the town hall?
I don't have that number on the top of my head. I'd have to get back to you on that.
Well, before we start losing people, wouldn't you think you'd get rid of all the contracting stuff that Public Works could do? Departments that you do have that could do? My other question is the school department. Does the Public Works have a right to step on your property to do work that you guys need during our 40 hours?
Does the Public Works have the right to come on our,
So you got a project to do, like a sidewalk.
yeah,
During our 40 hours, do we have a right to go do that?
during your 40 hours?
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever had that. We haven't had that issue. I know in the past, we've been able to hire people, because you work 410s, correct?
We had 410s that got taken away for some inside reason. I'm not sure why or the truth, but a rumor has come around, and it's saying that we're going to be a big, all-together town, and we're going to be working together with all the departments, including yours.
Yep.
And I was wondering, legally, do we have the right to step on your property during our time? Because aren't you a different entity, like a private? Or are you town, so we can step on there?
It's a department of the town, so it's actually, the school property is all controlled by the same entity.
Okay, just wondering. Because, I mean, there's a lot of stuff the town has that we're probably not going to be able to do if we get tied up with another department with less people.
I think we're looking very closely at that public works situation, and we have not, as a council, reached a decision yet there, so we're certainly taking that under advisement.
Ken Wells. On the technology wages, I see that you dropped it down $42,000 because of the person that was let go, but yet you're raising it for services, how much of the services is replacing him? Because I heard you're subbing that out. So out of the $76,000 you want to increase, you're going to,
You see an increase in the technology budget because we have moved some things such as technology and fees from the police department software to this particular budget. We consolidated all the technology from every department into that particular budget.
are you
We
subbing
are
that?
not spending $42,000, we're spending less than that on the contracted services, and we do that on a monthly basis based on our needs. We purchase time and try to, and if we
Okay.
had, say we have 1,000 hours and we only use 500, or we use 1,200, you have to buy another 200 hours. It's on an ongoing basis what we think our needs are.
So what is your estimated budgeting hours for the next fiscal year?
$40,000 for AMS services. That's our contract.
I still think you could hire somebody cheaper.
Do you have anyone else who'd like to come forward and address the council and the school board this time?
Hello, my name is Brooke Daigle. Did I hear you incorrectly when you said that you had pulled the budget for code enforcement from the assessing?
Yes, you did.
So you did not, I heard that correctly?
Yes.
Then why is there still a 63% increase in assessing after code enforcement has been pulled from
Because we
it?
have in that a contracted service with the assessor currently that's helping us clean up some of the mess that we have. Also, there's a $80,000 increase in contracted services to do the revaluation, to start that. That will be over a 4-year period, so we'll have to fund it each over that 4-year period.
Okay. Now, I know the gentleman behind me asked what this budget was going to have for an effect on our taxes, and you have said that our taxes shouldn't be changing. But with this reassessment, is that going to still be the case?
The revaluation assessment will take 4 years to be done. And that individual will not implement the changes until after those 4 years. So it will not impact this particular budget. You won't see a change probably either the 4th year or the 5th year, depending upon how he does on time.
Okay. So we will probably be seeing
And you
increases,
will
just not
see-
this year.
Yeah, you won't see it this year, you definitely won't see it next year. If you go to one of our Great Ball Plaza or Great Ball sites on the web, you'll see Mr. Van Tynen talked about what a revaluation entails, and he gave a real nice presentation to the council and public that was there, so you'd be able to see how he plans on doing it,
Okay,
or someone.
thank you.
Throughout this budget, there are several increases to salaries that are more than the 1.75%. One of them sits in town manager administrative, one of them is in the rec department, one of them, I believe, is in the fire department. And I understand at the beginning of the evening, you stated that you were going to be doing some changes to wages based on market surveys. I'm just wondering if, in a time when we're looking at, it's very tough economy still, if it is really prudent of you to be making such large increases. I understand market adjustments have to be looked at from time to time. I'm just not sure it's really an appropriate time for you to be doing those at this time.
Thank you, Norma.
Dot Fitzgerald, resident of Lisbon Falls. 'Falls. 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 ' go into right now, but I was looking through, well, anyway, what is the approximate income we get from TIFs? I know it's in the budget somewhere. I can't find it right now.
The amount that we pulled out of the sheltering TIF that we did with Dingley was approximately 110,000 that, from our side, that we would receive.
Now, this is income that would be coming into the town?
It all comes in, TIF funding, and I'm not really good at explaining it because I've got an economic development director who's much better at it than I am. But TIF funding is an incentive, half of what depends on the TIF and how it was structured. There are some TIFs that, majority of TIFs are 50%. So we keep 50% of the taxes they pay, and we give them back 50% for incentives to add more people, to grow their business over, say, a 20-year period, just off the top of my head. What we've done is sheltered one of those TIFs, which was the intent originally to do it, but it wasn't done. So we can capture on our side the value and put it in towards funding economic development so that it's a self-supporting department.
So in other words, this is kind of smoke and mirrors. We're taking income that would be coming into the town for income proceeds, and then just paying it out into another department. Smoke and mirrors.
We've been involved in all the discussions with the TIF.
I have.
And if anybody has questions on TIFs, our economic development director, that is his expertise. He certainly could answer your questions again, but it's not smoke and mirrors. It's something that's done on a regular basis statewide to help fund and create incentives for businesses to come here and prosper, to create jobs, and that's the intent. It's worked very well here.
There was a large article in this afternoon's Times Record. I'm assuming that the correspondent interviewed you.
I did not read the Times Record this afternoon.
Well, there's, one of the items states that something about a $1 million bond that was from 2 years ago, and that's how you were planning on funding the replacement of the Fisher Road Bridge.
If the bond does not pass, and I said this during my presentation, we had planned to rebuild and reconstruct Fisher Road last year. We had the money from the bond that we had taken out several years ago. We got the report from the Maine Department of Transportation recommending that we fix and replace this bridge. Out of the 3 bridges that we looked at, this was the one that we got reports on. This was the one bridge that was the worst. So prior to, we opted not to tear the road apart and rebuild it, because we felt if we weren't able to fund the bridge replacement, we could do that bridge replacement with the funding that we had left over on the rebuild one.
So out of that bond from a couple of years ago, is there enough money left to rebuild the bridge? You keep saying that you have enough money, $100,000 in the budget to rebuild the bridge, and now I'm hearing something different. Which is it?
I'm not sure what you're hearing, Dot, but the answer is we have money left over from our bond from several years ago. We did not spend it on the Fisher Road because we got a report saying that the bridge needed to be replaced.
Right.
We had not anticipated that bridge needing to be replaced until this past year.
Right.
We held off on rebuilding the road and kept the money in this account to wait for this next coming year to see if we were either going to be able to bond it or, and then if we get the bond, if we approve the bond, then we'll rebuild the bridge and we'll also rebuild the road like we had intended to do. So there is money in our account to either rebuild the road or rebuild
Is there any other money left in that bond?
No. All the work that we had planned to do, most of it was completed.
Ken Wells again. My question is on the animal control line items. Is the total sum, is that what the 3 towns or how many towns are going to split, or is that our portion of it?
No, that is what the 4 towns will split.
Okay. And my other question is, what economic or professional development does a animal control officer need?
I think he needs to have updates on different aspects of disease, possibly.
Is this going to school, or?
Most of it's through the state, I would imagine, but that's a question I don't have an answer to. Okay.
And then my last question on this is the cell phone increase, 88%?
This is what, the animal control officer?
Yes, same line, same one. It's going up to $1,150.
That's an air card. We've added an air card to his computer, so versus just having a cell phone.
Okay, so I'll have both.
What that does, it allows him to get the data on his laptop and car rather than have to call into dispatch and go on the radio back and forth with all that.
Okay.
It's a big performance increase right there.
All right, thank you.
Name's Steve Welsh. I guess I have a question in reference to town-maintained roads. Can you tell me how an actual town-maintained road gets looked at for possible evaluation as far as upkeep and maintained by the town?
The Public Works Department rates each of its roads in terms of condition, whether it needs, the road needs to be ditched, whether the road needs to be just shimmed and overlaid. It depends on the age of the road, depends on what the traffic count might be on that road. What has happened here, we bonded $1 million several years ago because we had roads that were literally crumbling. I mean, if we had not fixed these roads, you would have pavement just coming apart everywhere. So on roads like that, we schedule those to be worked on when we have the funding, which we did quite a few roads, I would say 6 of them were total rebuilds several years over the last 2 years.
How about dirt roads?
I think we only have
Town-maintained dirt
several
roads.
and we're hoping to get rid of some of them.
I went to the town last year in reference to a town-maintained road and voiced my concerns, as well as there was a couple other town residents on that road that had some concerns as well about drainage. And I came to you after the fact. I went to the Public Works Director, and it was told to me that, I needed to address it with you. So that's what I did. And you even actually came out and took a look at it during the issues, or saw the issues that was, posing the problem on that road. And you even told me that, yeah, there's an issue and that it will be addressed. It's been well over a year, and those issues are still, to this day, an issue.
Okay. I will speak to my Public Works Director and find out why it hasn't been done.
The problem is there's no drainage. There's no place for the water to go on County Road in Lisbon. The problem is when it rains, it goes right down the center of the road, and there's no place for drainage to go. It goes right down to Ridlawn Road, and then that's where it dumps into the catch basin there. But in the meantime, during the wintertime, it's nothing but a sheet of ice, which causes issues, with vehicles going down there that could slide right, down onto Ridlawn Road. And, there's going to be an accident there sooner or later.
If I remember your road right, sir, and this is really not the forum to discuss it, and I think we did talk about that.
Yeah.
One of the problems with reditching that road is you have another person on that road whose well is to try to direct water from there. The other part, if I remember correctly, on the left-hand side of the road was some ledge issues.
Right, that's
And,
correct.
And that gets
Well,
costly, but again,
Again, this is a budgetary issue where, obviously I'm wondering where the money's going to come from or how it gets budgeted, and that's why I'm addressing it here.
okay, I will
Thank you.
speak to Ryan.
Thank you for your time.
This question is for Public Works, Winter Public Works. Line item is 306, other supplies. It looks like in '06, or excuse me, in 2010, you overspent, that's probably the salt. And you overspent that, and you overspent it in 11, but yet you cut it down to only 80,000. You guys are playing a real crap game there.
I had the same objection as you, but I'll let Steve answer that.
We have historically, and how quickly we forget, Ken, what we had to deal with on Route 9 with well contamination because we were using so much salt. It's great to have clear roads in the winter, but when you're paying, like the town did, $750,000 to correct the problem with all the wells, and we're not even done yet, I think Public Works should be using less salt. Otherwise, we may end up having to pay out another $750,000 to extend the water line.
Okay,
So that's why we took it out, and the direction was given this year, and it was also given the coming year. We are going to use less salt, period, to one, cut our budget costs, and second, to prevent contamination of wells.
you could correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't you were salting under the orders of the state?
No, we were not salting. We were following state guidelines for salting.
For the amount of salt added at the time? So
That's
you
my-
weren't over salting the roads then, correct?
I think we were, but I can't tell you that for sure.
So if
But
you
they're under instructions to use less salt.
if you decrease the salt on those state roads, now you're violating state requirements.
I don't know that to be true. We have a contract with them to provide services. They have a guideline of what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to mix your salt and calcium. There's no rules stating that you have to do it that way.
Well, if you could go with less salt, I would appreciate it. I know my car would too, so.
So that's what our plan to do.
I have to explain the salt, calcium, because I don't know if anyone's really getting it. Because, no, I just need to explain this. We go to these classes and, no, I understand it's a budget, but people want to cut salt down. It took 20-something years, maybe more, for the salt in our salt barn to get down to the end street water, okay? Because they did find it years ago. They traced it back to that barn. The other thing is, we put salt out. I'm the only one that uses straight salt in 196 and 125. I only put probably 20 yards out during a storm. Probably put 75 pounds per lane mile. It trickles out of my truck during the storm. Trickles. It would probably take 2 or 3 hours to fill a 5-gallon bucket. It takes years. Route 9 gets a straight salt first shot, a mixed load. That's all it gets, sand. Now, if people don't watch it, the more sand you put up that road, we don't even got anything big enough to ditch those ditches. But once they get filled up, half those culverts, we're gonna have another expense. Because I'm hearing Route 9 is gonna be ours at some point, and Upland Road.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any further questions regarding the town or school budget?
My name is Don Stein. The Fisher Road, you plan to rebuild the bridge itself or replace it with the culvert? Or don't you know yet?
We do. We've had an engineer look at it. We were planning on replacing the bridge with a culvert.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? All right. Seeing Seeing nothing further, we will move on to the next section of our meeting.
Next item is Board of Assessment Review Ordinance Amendment. Public hearing.
All right, Twyla, would you like to read us the next item there? Okay.
The Board
Board of Assessment Review, okay. Okay, and I would like to open that public hearing. Does anyone have any comments on the Board of Assessment Review Ordinance Amendment? Okay, hold on a moment. I will see if I can find it here.
Would you like me to read?
Sure, would you like to read that, Twyla?
Okay, the Board of Assessment Review Ordinance Amendment is adopted with state that it be ordained by the Town Council of the Town of Lisbon that the Lisbon Code be amended to clarify the provisions relating to the Board of Assessment Review as follows. The version of the ordinance relating to the Board of Assessment Review designated as Division 3 in Chapter 2 hereby is repealed. The version of the ordinance relating to the Board of Assessment Review adopted by the Council on March 16th as Division 12 of Chapter 2 be hereby repealed as well. Then what we're going to do is take the Assessment Review Board ordinance adopted on March 16th under Division 12 and move it to Division 3 in Chapter 2 without changes in the originally adopted text.
Steve, is there anything you want to say on this? Okay, yep. Pretty routine changes here to just change the language to fix that up so it works a little better. Any comments from council on that? Yep, this is a public hearing, sorry, I'm a little under the weather tonight. All right, does anyone from the public have any comments on that? All right, seeing none, I will close that public hearing. Next item, Twyla?
Is another public hearing for the consideration of up to a $520,000 bond for MTM Center improvements, Public Works Garage, the Fisher Road Bridge, BP Smith siding, and electrical work.
I think we've already heard a lot of comments on that issue tonight, but if anyone has anything further to comment on those bond issues, this is your time to speak up.
Gordon Curtis, I live on the Bordenham Road. I'm one of the directors of the MTM Center. I'd like to put in a plug for getting that roof fixed. It is in bad shape, leaking water down through, causing mold. That's a wooden deck up on that building, and that could be rotting, and we might not even know about that. We need that roof real bad. That old roof there is a built-up roof. It's layers of tar paper and bitumen, and that wears out just like the tar on your road wears out after a while. So anyway, I'd like to put that plug in for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon.
There will be a flyer being mailed to all homes, all taxpayers, going through each of the bond initiatives. We're just waiting for the public hearing to end, and then we'll put that out in the next couple of weeks.
All right, do we have any further comments on those bond issues? All right, seeing none, I will close that public hearing. And next item, Twyla?
Is under the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed for discussion?
All right, I see nothing from council.
Seeing none. Order 2011-56 to approve the minutes of April 12, 2011, April 19, 2011, and one mobile home park renewal for Brimmel's Park.
I'll second that.
Okay, and all in favor? And opposed? Next item?
Is under council orders, resolutions, and ordinances. Order 2011-57, the Board of Assessment Review Ordinance Amendment. It's a second reading and requires a roll call vote.
Okay, do we have any discussion from council on that? Okay, nothing from council. Does anything from the public on the Board of Assessment Review Ordinance Amendment? All right, do we have any motions on that? Okay, we're going to need a roll call vote for that, Twyla?
Yes. Council Bowie?
Yay.
Council Bickford? Yay. Council Cody?
Yay.
Council LaRochelle? Yes. Council Lunt?
Yay.
Council Mason?
Yes.
Council Caldwell?
Yes.
Yes, 7 yeas, 0 nays, order passed.
Okay, next item?
Order 2011-58, parking ordinance amendment, first reading, roll call vote required.
This is on the agenda for discussion. We've had some businesses on Main Street in Lisbon Falls just concerned that there are people parking in front of their businesses that are not soliciting their business. They are going to another building. They're parking there for an hour to an hour and a half sometimes. They feel it's not fair that everybody park in front of their business and go to other places. We have signs that there's plenty of parking in our parking areas and behind some of the buildings. Again, it doesn't seem to help. What I'm asking, I guess, is if we could post some of these spots to limit the amount of time, and this is open for discussion on Main Street in Lisbon Falls.
Council have any opinions on that?
That's all right. I guess the question I have, based on what was passed out, what are the changes to this particular ordinance?
The only change that you would see on this is on Main Street in Lisbon Falls, is to limit the parking or for 15 or 20 minutes per site, and kind of push people to use the parking lots where there's no time limit. And again, we can, this is a first reading. We can come back if you have suggestions. It's something that I wanted to present because we've had some complaints from business owners on Main Street.
Have we discussed this with the patrons, where we're going to be potentially limiting the parking in front of their spaces until 15 minutes for those people that may need more than 15 minutes with those patrons?
We've addressed some of the, on both sides. We have some people we've talked to, or we put up signs in the businesses where they're spending a lot of time and parking up the street, blocking theirs. 15 to 20 minutes is what one of the store owners feels would be appropriate for his business anyway, which is where most of the people have parked and where the complaints have come from.
I think we would need more information, especially to see who has rear parking and see if there's adequate signs on the road for rear parking for businesses, because I'm not sure if a lot of people take advantage of some of the rear parking on some of the areas. The downfall is in that area, there's quite a few businesses that you really can't get in and out in 15 minutes if you wanted to. I mean, unfortunately, it all depends upon the nature of the business, but I think we need to take a lot broader look at it and see what parking is available and how, before we do set limits, how we can send people to the appropriate parking areas if they were to use the businesses.
You know, one of the things that I also would like to see taken into consideration at this time, this would have to be enforced by the police, obviously, and with the economy the way that it is and people struggling and trying, do we really want to be burdening them with parking tickets? I think, adding insult to injury is unnecessary at this time.
Hello, talking about the parking on Main Street. I live on Main Street, And the businesses, well, the business that across from my house, their customers park in front of my house all the time, you know? And talking about inconveniencing the businesses inconvenience the people that live on that street also. So I hope you take that into consideration also.
That's a valid point. Have you talked to any homeowners in the area? It might be somebody worth the contact.
The only area we've focused on and where the complaints have come is the business community. And we've talked with the business community, some of the members, as well as trying to get people to post signs, if you are going to be there for a long period of time, can you use the parking lot behind the buildings where we have public parking and there's quite a bit of space. We have, last year we did a survey on available sites and through different times of the day, different days, and we found that there's always adequate parking in the rear, but people choose not to want to use those because they have to walk a little farther possibly. So
Yes.
it's an issue in all small downtowns. We're just trying to remedy it.
I'm just saying is just don't take the business's point of view. The people also have that who live there.
Thank you.
Dot Fitzgerald again. I find, my feeling is that this is counterproductive. You're trying to get businesses downtown to get business, get people downtown down on Main Street, Lower Main Street to frequent the businesses. And if you're going to limit their parking, this is, to me, counterproductive. I would not be in favor of it, although I don't have a vote.
Thank you, Dot. Would there be added expense in terms of, okay, yeah, I think we need to look into this a little further before we go ahead with it. So do I have a motion from this on council? Do you want to table this, or how are we feeling? That's what I think, yep. Okay, no, okay. We should table this to next time.
I got one more thing.
Okay, sure.
We take in consideration is, go down any of you, 6 o'clock in the morning, and how many people are using it for their parking stall all night? Because we can't do no work on it.
Thank you. Is it related to this item, Faye? All right.
Are the people abusing these sites, are they the people that live, say, on Union Street or around that area? And the house, have we acquired a house behind the library or not?
The one that's standing there now?
Yeah,
I don't believe we acquired that. We acquired the one that was next to it and tore that down and put in that garden there, but I believe that other one there is still private.
Oh, it is, okay. I just heard through the rumor mill that it was going to be acquired, and I think some firemen told me that.
Rumor mills.
Well, I think the firemen that are right adjacent to it, I think firemen told me that, so I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Well,
it's an
the
abandoned
rumor's
house
not
and-
true.
So-
Well, most of the patrons, most of the businesses who are asking a limitation be put on parking in front of their building, a good percentage of it is coming from either people that are patronizing one of the restaurants down there or patronizing the library. And if they're there for an hour to an hour and a half when there's story time or something like that, we're just trying to get people to use the parking lot. So businesses who are the ones we're trying to accommodate can have their patrons be able to park in front of their businesses. That's all.
So if that house is inhabitable, and a relative of mine had to move out of it, and he's living across the street from me now. He's one that told me that too, and I thought it was condemned, and then the fire department thought they'd be taking it down.
I don't know anything about that building, Faye.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further from the public on this item?
Jack Klein, I also, like George, I live on Main Street, actually right across from Crossman's, in what I guess they call the old Doc Plummer House. And I'm assuming that the restrictions would only be on the first block, right? So from 196 up to the library.
TD Bank North.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I'd have to say, given that I live right across the street, I prefer there not be any restrictions right there, because that is an area that if someone comes over to my house, I'd like them to be able to park there and stay for more than 15 minutes.
I think what we're looking at in the proposal or request that was made from the business was that just in front of their store,
Okay.
it'd be limited so their patrons could park there versus allowing library or restaurant people who are there for over an hour.
Now, TD has a parking lot behind it,
Yes,
correct?
I'm not saying that they're the ones who complained.
Oh, okay.
I'm
But
just
I'm saying
saying
they do have a
we're
parking
looking
lot
at the
on-
business
Okay.
district only, we're not
Okay.
looking at doing it on the residential.
Okay. Well, but it'll, if you're going to restrict parking on that part, it's going to affect the residential side, because of course, if you can't park long on one side, you're going to come to the other side, right? So, I mean, this is going to impact the people who live right there.
Something that we addressed earlier, a year or so ago, concerning downtown, we were doing revitalization stuff. We did some evaluations down there, and the problem is, people don't like to park in the back parking lots. Everybody wants to park on the street. So, you know, we can tear a house down and we can have another parking lot, but I guarantee you, people won't park there as much as they'll park on the street. So that's what the problem is. I think it's retraining people to understand there is more parking. I mean, it's possible. I know it's a little far for you, but it is possible to park in those parking lots and walk to some of those other areas where people want to go. And that was one of the biggest issues we had. And I do think that we need to get more signs that indicate there's parking behind the post office, maybe down behind Union Street, those kinds of things, so.
All right, so we'll table that item to our next meeting. And next item, Twyla?
Order 2011-59, bond order for $135,000 for MTM Center roof replacement.
Okay. Do I hear any discussion from council on this one? Do I have a motion from council? Okay, any further discussion? Anything from the public? Yep, okay, all those in favor? And opposed?
Order passed, 7-0.
Okay, next item?
Order 2011-60, bond order for $130,000 for MTM Center window replacement.
Make a motion to accept it as written.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion from council? Yep, go ahead.
Given that we're going to have to be paying this bond back, obviously, next year it's not going to be any easier to create a budget for this town. Monies are going to be more tight. There's going to be less coming from the state. We look at windows in the MTM, we can probably do a little more time with what we've got to hopefully get funding for that. The roof is kind of a necessity, a need, it's not a want. And I think that when we look at these bond issues, people of this town better look at that very closely, because if the funding gets cut next year, the bond still has to be paid back. And that means nothing but increase in taxes. So just keep that in mind when you look at these bond issues. Thank you.
All right, anyone from the public? Okay, all those in favor? And opposed?
5-2.
Okay, yeah, that's correct. Next item? Right.
2011-61, bond order for $120,000 for Public Works Garage Facility repairs, renovations, and improvements to and to provide Americans with Disabilities Act compliance.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to accept it as written.
Any discussion from council?
I just think that $120,000 is way too much money to be spent on that addition. And I just want to, I think it can be done a lot cheaper, and we haven't had enough bids on this to do it. So I don't think it should be bonded.
Anything further? Anything from the public? Okay. All those in favor? And, okay, that's, how many are in favor? Raise your hands high. Okay, that's 3 in favor. And opposed? Motion fails. 4-3. Okay. Well, 3 to 4. 3-4, and it fails.
All right, and the 4 opposed is Roger Cody, Council Bickford.
And myself. Okay. Next item?
Order 2011-62, bond order for $100,000 for Fisher Road Bridge repairs, renovations, or replacements.
I'll make a motion that we accept it as written.
Any discussion?
This here again is a need and not a want. The Fisher Road Bridge has got to be replaced before we have liabilities up there that we really don't want to deal with. But I believe that we have money in a bond that we have left over that we should use to fix that bridge. And if we can't pave the road, leave it gravel. We'll get by with it until times are better. But we don't need to put the burden onto the town at this time. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Anything further from council? Anything from the public on Fisher Road Bridge?
Have you guys got any bids back on doing that bridge?
We have some estimates from several contractors, as well as the estimates from the engineer that we consulted,
And how much?
around $100,000 to replace the bridge.
I heard 150.
Well,
But that's good.
not according to our
That's
records.
100,000, that's great.
Anything further from the public? All right, all those in favor? And opposed?
5-2, the 2 was Council Cody and who's the other one?
Council Bickford.
5-2, passed.
Next item?
Order 2011-63, bond order $35,000 for E.T. Smith siding and electrical work.
Do I have a motion here? Who seconded that? All right, okay, I'll say Gina had it. All right, any discussion from council?
I went on a tour of this building, and I am not an electrician, but I've worked around it all my life. And if we don't fix this building, Lisbon will be responding to a fire in, Lisbon Falls will be responding to a fire in Lisbon. That's the way I look at it. It's in pretty bad shape.
Can I just say something about the bonds? The bonds ultimately go to the voter. This is just, on all of these, it's a formality. We're just bringing it forth, and we are allowing the people who have the ultimate decision to accept or reject any of these, just so you understand.
Except one.
Excuse me?
Except one, the one that failed.
Correct, I understand that.
So do I have a motion here? Was there already? I'm a little loopy tonight, sorry about that. Okay. Any discussion from the public on the E.T. Smith siding and electrical work? All right, all those in favor? And opposed?
6-1, order passed.
Next item? Okay, this is to put all those bonds on the referendum, is that correct? Except the one that failed, right, right.
It's going to have to be 400,000.
So it'll be 400,000 now, will be the total, I believe. Do I hear a motion on that?
I'll make a motion, so we'll move forward.
Okay, do I hear a second? I'll second it. Any discussion from council? This is just to set the warrant. Just down to 400,000.
And then the
Right. Can we get all that paperwork set up? Yep. Yes.
Was there ever a limit set to the bond? That was one of our concerns initially, for limiting the bond down.
No.
So we're all set?
We'll be all set.
Okay. All those in favor?
Mark?
Yeah, sorry.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead. Sorry, Mr. Fillmore.
You didn't put it out to the public.
I'm
waiting.
sorry.
Larry Fillmore from Lisbon. At your previous discussion on bonds, was it not decided that we were going to separate these bonds out? And that
It will be
people
separate
vote
on the
it?
ballot, yes.
Okay, the last discussion that we just had here sounded like you were going to group them as one item on the ballot.
No, this is just
Okay,
authorizing
I
them to
just
go
wanna
on the
clarify
warrant.
that.
They will all be separate, yes. That's why you have to vote on them all line by line.
Mr. Fillmore, what we were saying when we were adding the total together, the 400,000 versus the 520, is there is a statement on here. It says the aggregate total of the bond referendum election questions shall not exceed 400,000.
I understand,
So,
I'm fine with it.
yeah,
I just-
but it is broken down.
The way it discussed there at the end was indicating it was going to be one bond.
Yep. Sorry about any confusion there. Okay, anything further from the public?
Dr. Fitzgerald again. Will there be anything on the ballot that indicates the interest rate and how much each bond, if approved, each section of the bond, would increase the taxes?
It won't reflect the increase to taxes, but it will reflect what the anticipated interest rate would be. We won't know exactly the interest rate until we go out in the fall, if it gets approved, to the fall bond bank.
I'd like to see something on the ballot or somewhere in the ballot booth, how approving each and every and all bonds what the impact it would make on people's real estate taxes. This is what it's all about, real estate taxes. People being able to afford taxes or not being, at the last budget workshop, I mentioned that there are people that are struggling to pay their taxes. Maybe some people are not buying medications or groceries so that they can pay their taxes. And I know it was brought out to me that the town that people have options to go to the town to have abatements or whatever, but people need to know how it's going to reflect on their taxes.
There is nothing, as far as the effect on the taxes, it would be nearly impossible to project what the impact on the tax rate would be because we don't know. There's more than that affects the tax rate. We would have to take into consideration the revenue stream as well as the current year's projected budgeted expenditures. If, however, everything remains constant with where we are currently projected, you would not see an increase solely because of these bonded items.
You would not see, if everything remains the same, we would not see an increase because of these bonded items?
That would be correct.
How can that be? We're borrowing money, we have to pay it back, principal and interest.
Because there are other factors, we have other debt that is coming down, the interest is coming down on our other debts as we pay them down. And that's why I'm saying things remaining constant with where they are today. At next year's time,
I'd like to, for a change, see a reduction in taxes.
That's why we need to read that.
Thank you, Dot. All right, I believe that everyone that wanted to comment from the public, all those in favor? And opposed? What? You're in favor, okay. Yep, yep. Okay, next item?
Order 2011-65, the warrant for the school budget referendum for June 14th, 2011.
Point of order.
What? Yep.
On the agenda that was made up and sent to the chair for approval, the last item was the council working rules. And the agenda was approved by the chair and then sent back to the town manager. And afterward, the council working rules was added to the agenda. And I know this because I have a follow of emails from the chair and showing his not being very approving of it. And I also went to the charter, and it clearly states in the charter that it is the chair that has the final say on the agenda. And I would like to have that removed from this agenda and brought into a workshop for further discussion.
I believe he's talking about the 66.
We're not even there.
Right. Yeah, I think we're a step ahead. All right, on the warrant for the school budget referendum, do I have any discussion from council on that? Or do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
You have a motion in favor? Okay. Any discussion on that? Anything from the public on setting the school budget referendum for June 14th, 2011? All right, all those in favor? And opposed?
Order passed 7-0.
Okay, and the next item is the 2011-66, which is being disputed. And I would advise that we table this and do a workshop on this at our next available time for the council. Okay, do I hear of any, I would like to do that as a workshop, and Lori agrees with me. I don't know how other people feel on the council here. I think it'd be best to put it off. I don't think we're ready to move forward with an actual vote on that yet.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'd like to have a workshop on that, and we can schedule that whenever people are ready. I would recommend for that would be a week from today, next Tuesday. We can also combine that with doing a budget workshop to discuss the feedback people have given us from this meeting. Right, I'm saying we should hold a workshop, and then we can vote on it at the next regular meeting. Sorry if I'm a little loopy here.
Could I just ask that this will be the third workshop to talk about the council working rules, that all councilors come prepared to talk about the council working rules, and that we're prepared to move to the next phase in this so that we can move it along instead of dragging our feet? I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, so we'll table that to next time, and we'll set up a workshop for that. Okay, next item, Twyla?
Under other business, town manager's report.
I have nothing.
Okay, you have nothing to add? All right, next item then?
Is under audience participation. At this time, those in the audience who wish to address the council may come forward. Please use the microphone.
Anyone in the audience have anything further you'd like to address us with? All right, next item then?
Is under council communications.
Anyone have anything they want to say?
Who is going first?
I don't know.
I'll pass it down. Did somebody?
All I was going to say was that this forum for a general meeting is really hard, because like, from down here, it's like if you were on the other side of town, it's real hard to conduct business and understand what you, and a lot of times the microphone isn't being used and discussion is done. if in the future that we have a public meeting, we could have the public meeting to discuss the issue at hand and bring the general meeting to the town office where we can hear each other speak. Thank you.
I'll take my opportunity now. The chief just left the room, the chief of the fire department. When I take the opportunity to thank the members of the Lisbon Fire Department for their participation in the smoke detector program. Last evening, I had a couple of the members of the fire department stop by the house. They wanted to check the smoke detectors, wanted to offer batteries up. They did some education, handed out some paperwork. During the midst of that time, I had like 2 or 3 phone calls that came in, and of course, people were concerned when I said the fire department's at my house, but they live in different communities, and they weren't aware of this program, and so I thought it was a real nice community thing that was going on, and had an opportunity to see the members of the fire department that are out doing the community service work. So thank you.
And to follow up on that, I also checked my smoke detectors, and both the batteries were dead in both of those. So if I'd had a fire, I would have been gone. So it's a very good program, and I'd recommend everyone go home tonight and just check your smoke alarms, and actually test it and make sure the battery's in there and that it works. Okay, next item, Twyla.
Is order 2011-67 to adjourn?
We have a second? All of those in favor? And opposed?
Order passed 7-0.
Thank you.
All the neighborhoods here without driving around.
Right.
And I would try to coordinate my time with Pat's, who I believe is probably becoming more and more familiar every day with the town, to have a reasonable neighborhood delineation so that the unit values that we use for land fit the neighborhood, and if there are some economic adjustments that need to be made for certain neighborhoods because they are illustrated by sales that indicate that maybe very few properties sell, and when they do sell, they sell for a low price. We would try to reflect that in the valuation of the town and the valuation of those neighborhoods.
I'm not quite understanding that when you're saying by the sales and adjusting that way, because you're looking at, when you see a sales price, this comes through the registry of deeds, through the tax fund. That's the finished product, that's land and building, and of course an appraisal has been done, but you don't see that. So,
That is land and building.
you know, keep a piece of land and adjust it.
What
I can't
What
understand
I've tried to, I'm sorry, we're both talking at the same time. Go
I
ahead.
don't understand your approach.
Okay. What I've tried to indicate is that it's important that your staff and me work in concert, that I just don't develop land schedules and Pat develop building and depreciation schedules that don't work together. That's not the way I want to go. I'm sure that's not the way Pat wants to go. I've got a lot of experience doing revaluations. I have a lot of experience with the particular software that you have. I think I know the ins and outs probably as well as anybody knows them. But we've got to work together so that the package of not just land value or building value, but the total appraised value of a house that sells with a lot is in line with what the total sale of that house is. And we primarily do that by testing our appraised values, lumping land and building together for the land and building sales to the sales prices. we compare the total package assessed value to the total package sales price. And I've tried to emphasize that I can't just do the land without coordinating my effort and getting Pat and I on the same page that it all works together.
I have a question for the town council now, Ms. Boyd and town manager. Evidently, there were 2 bids that came in for a revaluation. I was a little disappointed that we only have one presentation tonight. I was hoping to have both presentations to see how each person was, or firm company was going to do an evaluation. I was hoping